Welcome everyone, thanks for tuning in to the MadVaper gaming channel. Today I'm going to be showing you a pre-release item. This is the EHPro SPD A8 box mod. So it's not out yet. I'm just going to give you a quick breakdown on how it works. First thing you're going to notice is that it's super light. It's really light, but there's no like button rattle or anything like that. Compared to, I think the closest thing would be the eVic VT in terms of like functionality and stuff. It's probably like half of that weight if you've ever used the eVic VT, so it's really light. The other thing is that it has an auto lock feature, so if you let it sit for like 3 minutes, it's gonna lock itself. I have contacted EHPro, told them that that's not the best idea, and they said they could change it, so that will be changed hopefully. There's already a 5-click on and off. Sometimes it's not 5. There. You keep clicking it, goodbye, and now it's off. So there's really no reason to have an auto lock thing. So it's 5 clicks on and off, as you just saw. Show you the screen here. It's actually a really nice screen. SPD A8 test. So you got your wattage, your resistance, your battery life, PM, that means power mode, no TC, again, means I'm not in temperature control mode, your up and down buttons. So I'll show you the menu in a minute here. The cool thing about this is that it comes with these little sleeves that just pop right on and off. So that's actually what the base mod looks like. We just want black, and up here it'll just be black, and then it'll say, caution, it's hot, right? So to cut down on the temperature and add a little bit of color to it, they have these things that just pop right on. And it actually works. I mean, the mod stays cool, even with pretty warm tanks. I'm using the TFV4 with a sextuple coil right now. Oh, come on, thread it. There we go. Now, every time you put a new coil on, it's going to ask you new coil, yes, same, or new coil plus, same coil minus. So just tell it the truth, hit plus or minus, and then you'll be where you need to go. It adjusts in 1 watt increments, which is fine because I mean the difference between 1 watt nowadays like doesn't really matter. So I'm not really concerned about being able to adjust in 0.1 watt increments. Overall, it fits in your hand really well. These kind of like knurly things on the side, right? Your fingers kind of fit in there pretty nicely to keep it from sliding around. It's rounded on both sides here. I'm kind of nitpicky when it comes to rounded edges. Either they both have to be rounded or they both have to be square. Something that's like the IPv4 where it's rounded on one side and squared on the other. It never feels like I really have a good grip on it, and it's because of the way I hold it. If the 510 connection's over here, like I always like to have my atomizer on the far side. So if there's a button right here, I do it that way. But if it's on the other side, like this one, right, I trigger it because it's on the far side. So depending on where the rounded edges is and how the button and the thing, you know, the 510 connection are laid out, it gets kind of wonky for me. But this is fine because I can actually get a good grip on it with both sides being rounded, and the button is right where my thumb ends up being. So I usually just end up hitting it with the side of my thumb like that. But you can also kind of hold it like a remote control, right? It's kind of like the MVP2. It's the same kind of button placement, and that's the same way I hit the MVP2 was with the side of my thumb. So let's zoom in and I'll show you how the menu works. It's actually really easy to use. Focus. That should be good right about there. I dribbled a little bit. All right, so to get to the menu, there's 2 things you can do. You can either push plus and minus at the same time, or you can push the plus button followed by the power button at the same time. And that's kind of what I do. So in here you have work mode, temperature system, hands mode, display mode, power limit for temperature control, software, firmware update, and the software version. So first is work mode. This is where you're going to change between nickel temperature mode, titanium temperature mode, and power mode, and voltage mode. It actually does variable voltage too, but I'm going to stick with power mode. Then you just click that to activate it, and then you go back to the menu. Temperature system, that's just Fahrenheit or Celsius, and you can either go back by hitting the minus button or lock it into place with the power button. Hands mode, this is going to be right or left. This is basically screen orientation. I'm going to leave it on right mode. Display mode, normal or stealth. That's how you get into stealth mode. In stealth mode, it won't light up when you hit the button and go to use it. I'm going to leave it on normal mode. TC power limit. This is basically what wattage it's going to fire at in temperature control mode. So it goes all the way up to the maximum of 80. This is a 5 to 80 watt device. Oh, and something right there. You can't go down. When you go down, it goes back. So in any of these settings, you hit the plus button to change the value. So that was power limit. System software, you have to plug it in to use this, but it gives you a little thing just saying, wait for update, and then it'll time out eventually. And there will be software that works with Windows 7 and 8. Actually, I think it's confirmed Windows 7. They're working on Windows 8 and 10 right now. And it actually turns it off after the update. That's all that was. I didn't mean to go in there. And then the last one just shows you your software version, in case you're curious, and the date that it came out. And that's pretty much it. It's a really easy menu to use. The buttons are nice and clicky too. There's no button rattle or anything like that. The whole thing just feels really, really light. And I wouldn't even say it's cheap, it's just light. And I am using a heavy, big tank on it, so that kind of defeats the purpose. But I compare this to the eVic VT because it does nickel, it does titanium, and it does variable wattage. This one also does variable voltage if you're still doing that for some reason. It's a 4,000 mAh battery. The eVic VT is a 5,000 mAh battery, so it's a little bit smaller. But it lasts all day as long as you're like, you know, a reasonable resistance and wattage. If you crank it up to 80 and you're down at the 0.1 minimum, I do believe it fires all the way down to 0.1. Then yeah, it's probably not going to last you all day, but 4,000 mAh is a pretty decent sized battery, so it actually works really well with the TFV4, I think, because if you look at it that way, it kind of fits flush to the end. It doesn't hang over, which I really like. The tank is right in the middle, so it doesn't really matter how you hold it. You don't have to worry, if you're like me, you don't have to worry about your atomizer being on the close side and having it be weird looking. In the middle kind of covers all your bases. The outside is kind of this rubberized matte coating, so it's not slippery or anything like that. It's got metal up here and metal down there. The only thing is that this, where's the charger? The charging port is in the back here, and it's not a pass-through. So if it dies on you, you're just gonna have to plug it in and wait, which isn't a big deal. You just gotta plan for it a little bit. Charge it when you go to sleep. Make sure it doesn't run out halfway through the day or anything like that. I generally get a full day's use out of it. And right now I'm using it at 80 watts with a 0.4 ohm. This is the sextuple coil, the 6 coil right here. And 80 watts is actually what I end up using most of the coils at anyway for some reason. Like the quad coil is 80 watts, the triple coil is 80 watts, the sextuple coil is 80 watts. I don't know why, but 80 watts seems to work pretty well for the TFV4 all around. What else? I mean, it's just, I really like it. I think it looks really cool. It's really comfortable in the hand. It's a really good out and about mod because it's light and it lasts a long time. The menu is really super easy to use, and it has temp control. The temp control does work. It's a little bit warm. I did get a little bit of, I wouldn't say singeing, but the cotton started to turn brown at 410 degrees. Just a little bit. At 400 degrees it didn't. So just keep that in mind. If you're using something that you know is accurate, like a DNA 200 type thing, turn it down like 10 degrees from where you usually have it, and you should be fine. But it has, you know, if you turn it up from 400 all the way up to 600 and dry burn the cotton, you get a nice gradient from slightly brown to burnt at around 600, which is kind of, I mean, what it's made to do. It's not made to burn, obviously, but in general, 600 degrees is going to burn dry cotton. So it works. The temperature control works. I haven't tried it with titanium yet. I've only tried it with nickel. So keep that in mind. But it's just a change in temperature coefficient, really. So it should work pretty much the same with titanium. This thing, the cover comes in a few different colors. I have the blue one and the white one. I think there's going to be a red and a black and some other colors. Or you can just leave it off completely. But I recommend leaving it on. It gives it more of a, I don't know, I like the look of it, and it actually does keep your mod cool. It does heat up quite a bit if you're using a high wattage tank like this one. There's also no ego threading if you care. It's just 510 threading. But it's a great mod, and it's going to come in at cheaper than the eVic VT kit. There's going to be two options for this. There's going to be the G3 kit, which is going to come with a Billow V2 Nano. It's a rebuildable, an RTA. or you can just get the mod. I would expect just the mod, you know, with the charger and maybe a couple silicone things. Not exactly sure what it's going to come with yet, but I'd expect it to retail at anywhere from $50 to $70. And the entire kit probably anywhere from $70 to $90, just because you're adding the price of the Billo V2 Nano. And I don't have the Billo V2 Nano, but basically what it is, if you've seen the Billo V2, it's the same exact thing, it's just shorter. And it holds 3.5 mils of liquid, just has a shorter chimney, shorter tank, and all that. Everything else is exactly the same. So if you like the Billo V2 and it's a little too tall for you, it's a good option. It actually does look really good on here. The TF-V4 looks a little bit tall, not ridiculously tall, but you know what I mean. It's made for the X Cube, so size comparison, it's quite a bit smaller than that, a little bit more comfortable to hold. So yeah, that's about it. The SPD A8 from EHPro. It's a really good, I would say, a budget mod for what it does. It's a 4,000 mAh battery, 5 watts, I believe, to 80 watts. Let's just check it out. Yeah, 5 watts to 80 watts, 4,000 mAh battery, fires down to 0.1, does nickel and titanium, variable wattage and variable voltage. And I was just going to say something else and I just forgot. Anyway, I'll just say it again. It's really, really light, so be ready for that. But if you want something that's good for going out and about, something with high power, and this actually has a little bit more power than the EVIC VT, because the VT only went up to 60 watts, or the Cooper Mini, same kind of thing. A lot of 60-watt temp control mods out there. This one goes up to 80, so that's something. I generally don't use temp control, so 80 watts. It just happened to line up with what I use with the TF-V4. Pretty much any coil I put in here is going to be at 80 watts. It's a good amount of heat, and it doesn't burn it out too quickly. This one, the sextuple coil says it can go up to 100, and it probably can. The quad coil says 140 watts. I don't think so. Usually at 110, 120, it starts to burn on me. So whatever that's worth. There's also no firing delay. Like I said, the button is nice and clicky. Let's do some vapor production tests. That's going to be more to do with the tank, but I'll show you what 80 watts looks like at 0.4 ohms with a sextuple coil in the TF-V4. So there you go. It has a really nice screen. It's really bright. It's really easy to use. Good number of options. The auto lock will be gone on the final version. Like I said, this was the test version. And it charges with USB. It's not a pass-through. So the negatives, not a pass-through, obviously. Also the auto lock, which will be taken away, so that's kind of moot. But this particular model right here did have the auto lock. And that's pretty much it as far as negatives go. The positives, it's really, really light. It feels really good in your hand. The buttons are nice. There's no button rattle. It's got this thing that you can customize, change your color on, and it keeps your mod cool when your atomizer gets warm, which is nice. Fires down to 0.1. And yeah, pretty much everything else about it, I would say, is a positive. It's really, really nice, and it's not going to be overly expensive either. So if you're looking for something with high wattage, the fire's low, that can also do temp control optionally, that's in a better price range than some of the other ones out there, then this is the one for you. I would pick this over the iStick for sure. I know the iStick is coming out with a 60-watt version that takes an 18650. I would still pick this over the iStick, even though the iStick's probably going to be a little bit cheaper. But this is going to be darn close. So that's it. Let's do a few more vapes and we'll wrap it up. And just for reference, I guess I'll show you what 80 watts looks like on the X Cube. So 80 watts with the SPD A8. And 80 watts with the X Cube 2. Come on, thread in there. Pretty much exactly the same. So that tells me that's pretty accurate. So that's it. That is the SPD A8 from EHPro. Right there. So Appreciate you watching. This is the MadVaper Gaming Channel. Be sure to check me out on Twitch 5 days a week, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Friday, Saturday. Streaming a lot of games, doing a lot of Metal Gear Solid recently, Hearthstone, Counter-Strike, Witcher 3, did some Resident Evil Revelations 2, did some Portal 2, so all over the place with games. I'm also taking requests, so check me out there. The link is at the bottom of the screen right now, and I'll also put it in the description if you're interested. And please subscribe if you haven't subscribed yet. Usually I try to do reviews on stuff that doesn't have a whole lot of reviews yet or isn't released yet, so check back if you want the first look at a bunch of stuff like that. And that's it for me. You're watching the MadVaper Gaming Channel. Thank you for watching.